Welcome to the Mighty Process Server Podcast, where the stakes are high and the stories are real. Do you have what it takes? On this podcast, you will hear from the process servers on the front line, serving American justice one door at a time. Buckle in and turn it up, because it's time to roll. Good morning, Mighty Nation, my process servers out there. In today's episode number 4 of the Mighty Process Server Podcast. I'm really excited. Today is a big day for one of the companies I just purchased and rebranded to mightydumpsters.com with a Z at the end. It's a local-based business, and the reason why I'm telling you about this is because I continue to test and prove to myself and in turn to you guys the marketing principles that I'm teaching you for building a local service-based business. If you have not been following along, I built in just 15 days, was able to build a process serving company that earns, now it's pushing $20,000 per month, but in 2 weeks, we got it to over $10,000. In revenue received as a new business here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now with this dumpster company, there's assets involved. So I'm right away making, within the first, I think it was the first 3 days, we had already had almost $10,000 in gross receipts received, because I called all the current customers who had been sending stuff and gave them a bit of a discount and to buy future dumpsters. And, so it's a little bit of a different model, right? Trash hauling, of course. Process serving, once you serve the documents, you do the proof of service, that's your deliverable, and it's just the easiest deliverable. You're just signing a document, emailing it to them. There's no cost involved. When someone hires me to drop off a dumpster, all the fuel, equipment costs, maintenance costs of the equipment, and then to take all of their stuff to the dump and actually pay the dump fees, which is often anywhere from $50 to $100. Even for 2 tons, it's $100, right? So I continue to come back to process serving for being one of the best ways to build wealth quickly if you're broke. After that, you want to look into getting into real estate and some other things. So today's story is a fun one. Each of the stories I'm telling you here in the podcast are to teach you a moment where I learned a valuable lesson, in hopes that you maybe don't have to go down the difficult road that I did to learn that lesson. Okay. You might be able to just learn from what I'm telling you and the issues that I had. So one thing to take you back to that time, this is about year 2 in business, where I'm serving all of my own papers and doing pretty well already at this point there in Northern California. I remember going and serving places, and I would jump fences, climb over fences, and I got bit by a couple dogs. And after I got bit by this dog, kind of a medium-sized pit bull one time, I decided to start carrying bear spray. I did some research. I found all these little tasers. They call them stun guns, but they're actually just like a box, almost like a cell phone, the size of a cell phone, and they make a little zapping thing. Pretty much useless other than making a loud noise and scaring dogs away, which I did use it for that all the time. So I started carrying bear spray. Well, one day I climbed over a fence with a couple German Shepherds, and this bear spray saved me. I ended up bursting it inside of my car, and really just a whole, I've told the story before, but I ended up, having tons of this. It's capsaicin. It's like red pepper type stuff. It's kind of like pepper spray, but a little bit more abrasive to your eyes. It's meant for bears, right? It's meant to be highly allergenic for bears, and it gets in the eyes and stuff. So after that, I learned, I kind of had a bad experience, and I want to say this attorney hired me from down in Los Angeles to go serve this pot grower who lived up in the mountains, And I had nothing against growing pot or whatever, like, but just in this area that they were sending me to, there happened to be a lot of crime, and there had been reports of people just standing randomly in the woods with AK-47s. If you drove up in the wrong area, you might catch somebody standing there like pointing a gun at you. So, and I had never seen that before, but I had heard about it. So the first time I went up there, I brought my friend Roger, and Roger was a security guard part-time. And so we drive up there, and we get to the gate, and there's like this big gate right as soon as we go up this driveway where the guy supposedly lives. And we got nowhere. Let's see. There we go. And so we got nowhere. I honked the horn. I thought maybe he would just come out, right? We didn't know anything. But the one thing we did know is that other people had tried to serve it and were unsuccessful. And so I thought, but maybe I'll get lucky. When you have the force of will that something will work out, oftentimes it does. And in that case, it didn't. So I had been up there a few times. I did not want to go over the fence. The fence was not too bad. I could have walked, kind of had these like bars on the sides where you can climb over it, maybe even climb through it. And so, but we didn't. I left. I come back a few more times. I submitted a declaration of diligence to the attorney, and the attorney said, I said that we tried, and they said, well, try harder, make it happen. We have to get him served. It turns out this was family law documents. They were trying to serve a restraining order on the guy, and they were not able to serve it. So then what happened was they said, well, what could you possibly do if you wanted to be super creative and money was no object? This is what the paralegal told me. Guys, if you don't know, it's Christmas time, and it's pushing on Christmas time right before Thanksgiving. I have some Southern Comfort eggnog here. Oh my gosh. So good, going down smooth. Sponsored by Southern Comfort. That'd be funny. All right. So they said, be super creative. What would you do if money was no object? And I said, one thing I've always wanted to do that I think would be really helpful, because we don't know what's behind the gate. We don't know if they're hiding back in there. I don't want to drive back in there. I don't want to climb the fence. If I could see a house, I could climb the fence and I could see the house. Now I know where I'm going to knock. But when you can't see a house and it could be potentially 7 miles back in there, what are you going to do? You're going to go walking around back in there trying to find a house and not be able to get to your car quickly? Like, that's not smart. So I told them I would love to get a drone. I know where I could get a drone. This is when drones first came out, started becoming really popular. They had a couple really advanced ones. I'd like to get a drone, and I'd be happy. I won't charge you anymore for going out there. You just buy the drone. I get to keep it, and I will get some footage of them. And if I can actually get footage of them hanging around up there, then maybe we can get a order to post or something. And so she's like, okay, let's do it. So she goes, you go buy it, we'll reimburse you. So I go buy a $1,500 drone. This is the coolest drone. I ended up selling it for a few $100 like 3 years later, but the coolest drone. It came with the VR goggles you put on and you drive it up there. You have to have something like that, because the cheaper ones you can't take out of line of sight. You fly them by looking at them physically, direct in the sky. This one, you could put the VR on and just drive it, So I put this on, I start flying over, and all I can see is trees. This is up in the mountains of Butte County. And so all I can see is trees. And then flying around, I have to come back. I had to charge it in the car again. And then I bring it, and then I fly out again. And finally, I think it took me a couple hours. Finally, I see this gap. I go low enough that I could see this, this gap. And I start to fly down further into this big gap clearing where there's like a little shed. I get down close enough to the shed, and I can actually see a table in front of the shed that has multiple guns on it, different guns, AK-47s. I think I saw an SKS, AR-15. There's like a bunch of guns sitting on this table, and there's pot plants inside this field. So like there's a bunch of trees, right? And then inside the field behind the shed that I didn't even realize, because they're so tall, these marijuana plants were so tall, they were probably like 5-6 feet tall. I thought they were trees from high up. And so, but I realized when I came down, I saw the shed and the guns. I see this pot field that looked like it went forever. And so I flew around, got a picture of it. I didn't see any people outside. And I came back and I showed that to the attorney, and then the attorney put it on a CD and submitted it to the court, got approved for posting, not for the restraining order, but for the family law documents. We posted the family law documents and mailed a copy. And I think the attorney also served him by Facebook. Like she got a special posting to do a few different things. So anyway, the lesson that I learned is be creative and have an opportunity. But this goes even further, because about 4 months later, I get a call asking me to testify at the hearing for this family law case to what I had seen on the drone footage. They had CD of it, but they wanted me to come testify as well. So I said, sure, I'll come testify at $75 an hour. I do a minimum of 2 hours. They're like, yeah, no problem, but it's down in LA. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I said, well, we need you to. We're going to have to subpoena you if you don't want to come. And I said, good luck serving me. Good luck serving me. If I want to go, you're going to have to pay me. So the paralegal talked to the attorney, got back to me and said, how much would you charge? And I said, I'll charge you $700 for my time to travel down there, and then I'll charge $75 an hour that I'm sitting there. They paid it. They paid me no problem. I sent them an invoice. They paid it right away. So I went down to the hearing. Now, the lesson here that I want you guys to take away is something that stuck with me forever. Okay. I got grilled by these people. The opposing counsel was saying that I was lying. I said, let's watch the video. And they said, well, the video is not admissible because you can't show somebody's property without their permission and all this kind of stuff. So the attorney was trying to say I was lying. I was like, I took the video. I don't know what you want me to say. I took the video. I posted like I was supposed to. I mailed like I was supposed to. How did he not receive a copy of it? They're like, objection, objection. Like, it gets intense. You see it on TV, and you know, people glamorize it on TV about, you know, court cases or whatever. But in person, those litigators, those attorneys, they are trained in the art of aggressive debate. And they know what, like hearsay, for example, you know, if it's hearsay, they'll say objection, hearsay, you know, and the judge has certain rules. They're attorneys too. They understand how it works. So there's a little tool I'm going to give you to end this story. It's yes, no, and I don't know. Yes, no, and I don't know is the flow that you go. Okay. So if you ever have to testify in court, it's yes, no, or I don't know, or I don't recall. Right? Somebody says, well, what do you mean you don't know? Isn't it your profession? They'll do all this stuff to try to make you feel like you're stupid. But your answers can't change. It's yes, no, or I don't know. I don't recall. And if you do that, you'll win. Straight up. And I think a great question. Great question, Reuven. I'll get to that here in a sec. So if you're ever going to testify in court, stick with that, because, you know, they will make you twist your words. And if you're not doing anything dishonest, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. Okay. Reuven says, any good CRM tools to use that's affordable to keep track of business addresses and times you're open for subpoenas. And times you're open for subpoenas. What does times you're open for subpoenas mean? Okay, let me know what you mean by times you're open for subpoenas. Any good CRM tools? There's a bunch of them. My favorite one for process serving is a tool called Pipedrive. And the reason why is because I believe heavily in prospecting for new customers, and not just not just being okay with whatever customers you currently have. You should go after and get new customers. Pipedrive allows you to have like a CRM of your customer list that you can have everybody in there. And then as you're calling and you have your current customer list, you have potential customers, you have other process serving agencies, you can label each of them. You can set campaigns to send out certain emails to them, so you can track the businesses, the addresses. And as far as times you're open for subpoenas, I don't know, your Google Calendar probably. That's what I would use. And and if they're calling me, they're going to tell me, when the hearing is. So, yeah. So that's all I have for you guys today. Today's podcast is really, really just, I want you to understand that, go out there, get new customers, go out there and experience new things, cover your butt, make sure you have errors and omissions insurance and general liability insurance. It's too cheap not to get it. Honestly, for $150 a month, you could have like $1 million liability insurance, so that if you were ever to accidentally, bump into someone's car, or maybe you get out of the car and then it accidentally rolls forward and completely goes through their house, through the garage. And, in some of these very, hills up and down, some of these houses are built on a hill and stuff. What are you going to do if that happens? If you don't have liability insurance, some type of insurance like that, you're screwed. They're going to sue you, and they're going to win because they can prove damages. What are you going to say? It wasn't your fault. It was an accident. Get insurance. 100% you need insurance. You need liability business insurance. If you drive a commercial vehicle, like your business owns your vehicle, like mine, you want to have commercial insurance. That way it's covered. And if they prove that you use it for personal use and you didn't declare that, now they're going to try to not honor the claim, right? So get that business stuff in order. Inside of my community, Mighty Process Server, I talked to you about that. The first section is get legit. You got to be too legit to quit, right? Too legit to quit. All right, guys, that's all I have. Thanks, Reuven, for participating. I don't see anybody here backstage. If you want to be a part of the show, you can actually, inside the community, click on the link to actually join the conversation. You can come in here, give your 2 cents. You get, at the end of the show, you can come on here, ask your questions. Like inside the community, Mighty Process Servers, you can go to mightyprocessserver.com, click on free training, and join the conversation. Okay, guys, go out there, stay safe, be awesome, and just live mighty. And I'm going to go make some money. You guys have a great day.